Since the publication of the CAA Model Aircraft Article 16 authorisation, there's been a lot of information out there interpreting what you can and cannot do with this exciting authorisation. Further to correspondence with the CAA and BMFA, today we're going to be talking about what it means for camera drone flyers. Hey everyone, my name is Sean and welcome to Geeksvana. So far this year we have covered a range of subject matter surrounding the new UK drone rules and where you can fly your drone. We have a few more subject matters to discuss, and today we'll be talking about an important one, the CAA Article 16 authorisation. Now, there are a lot of videos and posts out there about this authorisation, which includes explanations from organisations such as the BMFA and FPV UK. So I'm not going to simply rabbit back the entire document. Instead, today we're going to focus on 5 things which are important to hobbyist camera drone flyers in the UK when looking to fly under this authorisation. It is an exciting development for the hobby, and membership organisations should be congratulated for achieving this. Let me know in the comments below if you have been using this authorisation to fly so far this year, or if you intend on doing so, along with which organisation you're a member of. I'd really like to hear your thoughts. Whilst we're talking about the clubs involved here, it's important to stress for a moment that this authorisation applies to members of these flying organisations only, and you should make sure you are fully aware of the different steps you need to take to be able to fly under this authorisation, which are unique to each club. Once you've joined a club such as the BMFA, you'll need to ensure you adhere to their terms and conditions and guidance to make flights under the Article 16 authorisation. Again, this video is focused on the flight of camera drones under this authorisation. So we're talking specifically about your DJI Mavic Air 2s and Parrot Anafis and Uniques, etc. There are finite explanations out there relating to the different type of model and RC aircraft it affects, so it's worth stressing this point. Also, please keep in mind the fact that the sub 250 gram drone market get even more freedom than this authorisation offers already. So this only really counts for drones over 250 grams. Used correctly, this is an exciting way to fly your drone in recreational areas, even those in built up areas. So let's go. Here are 5 things to know about the Article 16 authorisation specifically for camera drone flyers. Point 1. Where you can fly your drone. This is not a blanket permission to fly your drone anywhere in a built-up area. Firstly, as you might expect for an authorisation relating to model and RC flying clubs, existing club sites are included whether or not they're in built-up areas. However, it's worth looking at the location limitations for an individual flyer under the authorisation. The authorisation states, 2. Any other suitable area which is not a built-up area, as defined in section 7.1. other than the circumstances defined in 2A below. A built-up area which is only used substantially for recreational purposes may be considered a suitable area. Operation within such an area must be supported by a risk assessment. So, this means the takeoff location must be either any suitable location not within a built-up area, or if it is in a built-up area, the flight location can only be used if it is substantially used for recreational purposes. So, parks, sports fields, beaches, etc. This is explicit and clear, and you must not use this authorisation to fly your drone anywhere in a built-up area. Point 2 of our guidance for camera drone flyers is the type of drone flight the authorisation covers. This is a point we have been waiting for confirmation back from the CAA and BMFA, which they have kindly provided. Automated flight modes must not be used. Normal stick flight of your DJI camera drone is covered. However, the reply we gained from the BMFA on this point stated, stability functions and return to home as a fail-safe measure is permitted. Any function that has the aircraft moving around the sky without having to use the transmitter sticks, except return to home as a fail-safe, is not permitted. So, you must not use automated modes such as follow me, orbits, or the many other auto modes which are possible. One important point to stress here is that this does not include return to home in terms of emergency situations where you need to recover your drone safely. However, if you rely on this function each time you fly to simply bring the drone back, you'll need to get used to getting the drone back under normal stick flight before flying under this authorization. Just remember, safety is paramount, and in an emergency situation, getting the drone back safely is more important than what buttons you're pressing or if the recovery is automated. Point 3 is on separation. This is a key benefit of the authorization and something camera drone flyers should be excited about. With this point, we're going to focus on drones with a takeoff mass between 250 grams and 7.5 kilograms, which will encompass most of the drones UK hobbyists would fly under this authorization. First of all, here is what the Section 16 authorization says about separation. 1. A model aircraft that is not free flight model aircraft and with a maximum takeoff mass above 250 grams and not more than 7.5 kilograms. A. Within a horizontal distance of 30 meters of assemblies of people, as defined in Section 7.1. B. Within 30 meters of any involved person, as defined in Section 7.1, this distance may be reduced to 15 meters for takeoff and landing if required for practical operations, and there are locally applied mitigations to protect uninvolved persons following a local risk assessment. Overall, this is very straightforward and exciting. The separation to uninvolved people is down to 30 meters, and whereas the separation to assemblies of people is horizontal, it is a bubble when dealing with smaller numbers of people, so you can fly over people with a minimum height of 30 meters. This, combined with access to airspace in built-up areas, brings freedoms to UK hobbyist drone flyers we simply haven't had before. But what about the point relating to the reduction of separation for takeoff and landing? Does this mean all flyers can take off within 15 meters of uninvolved people? Not entirely. The authorization states separation can be reduced to 15 meters if there are locally applied mitigations to protect uninvolved persons. We put this to the BMFA in relation to what creates the required mitigation, and their response was this. Essentially, that is a judgment for the remote pilot. I would suggest, however, that a spotter who can alert uninvolved people would be a sensible minimum, as the remote pilot will be concentrating on his aircraft. So keep this in mind when using the 15-meter takeoff separation, and ensure you record what mitigation was in place to cover you should anything go wrong. Making notes on this is a good segue into point 4 of our guidance for UK drone flyers looking to use the Article 16 authorization. Whenever you are flying at a new location, it's important that you carry out a physical risk assessment. This is a requirement of the authorization, and the BMFA actually provide a template for this. Ensure you write down all of the risks associated with the location and record any mitigation you have taken to reduce them. One point here to remember is that the risk could change each time you fly, even if your location is the same. As it is a public area, the activity can of course change from day to day, and therefore the risk. Is there a football match that day which wasn't there the last time? That type of thing. Our guidance would be to take a couple of notes to update the risk assessment and keep yourself covered on this point. The BMFA have an online risk assessment submission tool which allows you to upload them, which can give you an added point of evidence should you require it. We clarified with the BMFA as to whether the risk assessment needed to be completed and submitted prior to a flight taking place, and this was their response. The requirement is to have evidence of having conducted a risk assessment, so there is no reason it cannot be conducted immediately prior to the flight. There is no requirement to submit the RA unless you want to. So this is a welcome clarification and does mean you can carry around digital or physical copies of the risk assessment to complete before you fly, even if you spot a place to take off at the last minute. Point 5 of our guidance is a simple one. You can only undertake drone flights using the Article 16 authorization as a hobbyist and not for any flight which is for commercial purposes. Also, keep in mind that you cannot mix and match permissions, so you cannot take off under the Article 16 authorization and then switch to permissions granted under the A2CFC, etc. This might seem like a strange authorization to issue by the CAA, as it's kind of gives you some conflicting benefits to those under the A2CFC. But remember that once the UKCA C-class rated drones are released, an A2CFC holder will be able to fly within 5 meters of uninvolved people anywhere in a built-up area. Also keep in mind that people like David Phipps of the BMFA have been working hard on gaining this type of authorization for a long time, and it isn't solely a direct result of recent drone regulation changes. The last point I would make about this authorization is that it's valid for a year running up to the 31st of December 2021. It will be interesting to see if there are any changes made to future updated versions. For me, as an existing member of the BMFA, there is genuine value here. I will place a link in the description to their website. Regular viewers will know I often recount positive stories about my time as a drone novice and how being a member of a local BMFA club helped me to gain a lot of confidence and knowledge to help me become a safer drone flyer when out in public. There are also membership benefits such as liability insurance. Okay, that's it for this one. I wanted to focus on these main points for camera drone flyers rather than go over the entire document, so we could bring you some useful guidance and keep this video shorter. If you are bored one late night, I would suggest watching this video again and taking a drink every time I say the word authorization. It'll be a fun game for sure. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.
What are you still doing here? You know the drill. The show's over. You don't get to be here after this. Embarrassing me all the time.